Hello, everyone. Merry Christmas and happy holidays. It is the Christmas Eve episode here on Vikings First and SKOL. I'm Sally, the host of Skoldiers and Spice. And this episode, like I said, it's Christmas Eve, so we're gonna have a little festive flair tonight with a few special guests. It's also Victory Tuesday. Our Minnesota Vikings have won their eighth game in a row. They're 13th on the season, if you can believe that. I never thought in a million years we would be having even 10 Victory Tuesdays here on Skoldiers and Spice, let alone 13, and the season's not even over. So there is a lot to be thankful for this holiday season, and our Vikings had a great comeback win this past Sunday. So we need to get into all of that. Plus, it's Packers week, so we've got a lot of vitriol to spew about those guys, of course. Yeah, let's get into it. Merry Christmas.
Hey man, how the hell you doing? I've been just fine living life with the news and...
Hi, Dave.
Hi, Sal. I see we got the
Hi.
same hat.
We do. What a coincidence.
Uh-huh.
I wish I had a Vikings one, but I just somehow over the years have never gotten one.
Who's your friend? Over
My
your left
friend?
shoulder. Yeah.
Oh, who's here? Is this Apollo? Apollo.
That's Apollo.
Apollo is not usually on the show very often, but here he is. We're on his level tonight on the floor, so here he is. Yeah, we have a few friends that may pop in, a few furry friends. I didn't get their Christmas sweaters on them either.
Oh,
Bummer. But yeah, I've always wanted one of those light up hats, the Vikings ones that with the purple and yellow lights.
Uh-huh.
So now I need to remember to get one because I have somewhere to wear it, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So
Well, I've done mine. I've kept mine. Mine's a family tradition. We wear it around the holidays, and whoever's dishing out the gifts tomorrow morning gets to put it on. And so
oh, okay. Is that going to be you?
that'll be me.
Oh, it's rotate. Oh, okay. What are you
Or it
drinking
rotates. Right now, I've got a Tullamore Dew, but I did try a Whistle Pig 6 that my daughter got me earlier, and that had an interesting flavor notes. Had some cinnamon and some mint in it, and it very much like what is it? Fruitcake. Very holiday specific is the flavor notes that came over to me. It may taste different in July, I don't know, but right now it just reminded me of Christmas, and what a wonderful time of the year it is. It's a magical time, just like with our Vikings.
tonight? Yes, a very magical time for our Vikings. What is a whistling pig? I've learned so much about alcohol from you in such a short amount of time, but I have not heard of whistling pig.
Whistling Pig is a brand name they make rye whiskey.
Okay.
It's a
Okay.
very famous one. They go anywhere from $50 a bottle to $1,500,
Wow.
depending on the age.
Well,
and
that's quite
the
that's
batch.
quite the range.
Yeah, it can
Quite
be.
the range. Much like Sam Darnold's throwing ability,
Oh,
quite the
yes.
range. But all right, let's say hey to the chat really quick. We have got Steven here, and Steven actually was talking to his friend who is a Seahawks fan, and he told him that Darnold would throw the game-winning touchdown to Jets, or the defense would seal the game with a closeout interception. And they did both. Steven, buy yourself a lottery ticket tonight, my friend.
If the stores are still open where you're at, yes. Or
Yeah,
online.
yeah, make some bets. You got to get in on this. You have a crystal ball in your mind, which is very impressive. Okay, we've got Q-Man here. I don't know. You know how to pronounce. Yeah. Skull for Life. Hello, Mike Sullivan. And Purple Hef. Hey guys, Merry Christmas. Thank you so much for joining us.
And
All right,
Julie,
Dave.
I'm right here. Yeah, you found me.
Juby. I'm so glad you found Dave. What, Dave, is your standout moment from that game? Obviously, we know how it ended, but what impressed you the most in that Seahawks game this past Sunday?
Was their ability to throw in adverse conditions. It was windy. It was cold. It was nasty. And we talked about how Sam Darnold had on his pro day threw in the wind and in the rain and did just fine. Well, that took over on Sunday. Now, we started out with the lead as normal, and I heard a stat today. We are number one in lead throughout the season. We've led the game 78% of the time, and that's number one in the league.
Wow.
But it was
78%.
Yeah, that's huge. Out of all the time, 78% of the time we're leading, and it's by far number one in the league. So, but that even under adversity, whether it be the crowd, the 12s were just rocking it. I mean, they were embarrassed because they got called out, and they were rocking
the week
it.
before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, the Seahawks are a good team. They were fighting for their playoff lives. So they were battling, but we kept it up, kept going, and through adversity, whether it be offensive line not playing as well as we'd hope, or defense giving up some plays at different times, but it all felt together. It was one of the other complete games, right? Where offense did some and the defense did some and the special teams did something. Hey, Mr. Wright was booming it on Sunday.
Yes.
And it's just one of those things that stood out. Now, of course, the pass play to Jets at the end of the game to seal it was just French kiss.
Yeah. Exactly. It reminded me a lot of the Cardinals game because obviously they came back to win it. And in that game as well, I was concerned that they scored too quickly because the defense had had a tough time stopping big plays. And I thought, I don't remember how much time was left in the Seahawks game. There was about a minute, I want to say. And it was a little bit more than a minute against the Cardinals when they got the ball back. And I'm thinking, oh my God, this defense hasn't been able to stop anything. What are they doing? But in both of those games, they stepped up when they needed to and sealed the win for the team and saved us a nail biter of a potential overtime. Thank God.
Yes.
I don't know if I would have been able to handle that.
But they would have pulled it out. And it's what is weird is that we got down at the end, right? We went behind, but I didn't feel anxious.
No?
I thought Sam was going to do it, that we were going to drive right down and score. And that has never happened before. And that is strange.
You mean your feeling hasn't
feeling,
happened before?
Yeah, that, oh my God, we're behind. Oh no, we can't catch up. That sort of stuff. Oh, we're going to blow it. That has not happened. Especially with the last regime or last quarterback, it was, did he have fourth quarter comebacks? Sure. But we were sitting there going, oh no, he's got to throw for this. Can he? No, he just turtled up under pressure.
Yes.
And so I was cool. They're going to go score. They went and they scored. And I was like, yes. And then there was time left, minute 55.
Right.
No.
Right.
The Seattle's going to come back and tie it up. Whatever it was. Yeah, tie it up.
Well, especially they only needed 3. They only need, so you're like, yeah.
And it's like, the defense was like, oh, no, you're not. It was like, sweet. But, hey.
Yeah.
We have some guests here, and I'd like to bring in the first one. We do.
Yes.
Jonas. Sorry, buddy. All the way. It's Is it Christmas where you're at?
Yes, it is.
Merry Christmas.
It's 2 a.m., so it's already Christmas here.
Well, Merry Christmas.
Thank you. I have to confess, I'm not wearing, as you can see, I'm not wearing anything on my hat. Uh, so I just don't have anything like that. I actually don't have any Christmas themed clothes. I just don't
Outta here.
possess it. Over the last few Christmas, over the last few years, I wore my white hoodie, which I'm wearing today as well, as kind of my Vikings, as kind of my Christmas themed hoodie because of the trees in it. So it's kind of the closest thing I get. I actually bought this one in Minneapolis when I was there a couple of years ago in the Mall of America. So yeah, it's also brings nice memories. So yeah,
Oh, cool. Hey, we got
always
Yeah,
somebody
put
very
else.
cool.
Got somebody else to join us. There he is.
Hello.
Hi, Tyler.
Thought I'd crack out the bourbon here for Dave. It's a High West. I
Double
can't
rye?
remember what it is, but it's a cask aged in red wine barrel.
Mm,
It's very, very, very good.
yes.
What do you think, Dave? Are you impressed with that or what?
Well, I like Tyler turned me on to High West, their double rye. I have
Mhm.
not tried one of their casks strengths, nor have I tried one of their finished in a port or whatever wine sherry barrel. But I do like whiskeys that are finished in wine barrels. They usually have a different fruitier flavor, a lot of plum,
Mhm.
a lot of strawberry, all sorts of berry flavors. And they're unique and they are very, very good. My favorite brand down here is TX. They do some select ones where they
Mhm.
age them wine barrels. See, we're
Yes.
trying to educate Sal, Tyler,
Yeah.
on whiskeys.
I know
Oh,
nothing. Nothing.
if you want to learn, go into a top 10 liquors. I worked there for a couple years. They are smart people. Actually, go to the one in Osseo. Tell Aaron and Steve that I sent you. They will tell you everything and then some. They know way more than I do. It's truly impressive. Here I am doing a commercial for my old company, but yeah, if you want to learn about
Hey.
you want to learn about booze, those are the guys to talk to.
And if they ever wish to sponsor Vikings First and SKOL, we're open.
Oh, I've asked. Most of the people that I used to know with the company are no longer with the company. They've seen a lot of change over the last couple of years, but yeah.
See, I don't know if I can afford a hobby like that when I've got the Minnesota Vikings trying to charge me $400 to walk in the door on Sunday. I'm gonna have to pump the brakes on any new hobbies.
Well,
So,
the interesting thing is when you talk to people who know about stuff, you can find really good booze at a not expensive price because there's a lot of good stuff that you would have never heard of that's going to be better than the stuff that is very widely publicized. It's
yeah,
truly
true.
remarkable how much good stuff there is that does not cost much money. That's how I found the double rye.
Relative.
It's a $30 bottle, and
Mhm.
it tastes like it should be
Oh.
70 to 80.
Oh,
Easy.
wow.
Yeah. You got to find the good stuff on the margins, and that's where talking to the right people can get you there. Then it's like, oh, I can afford a $30 bottle every once in a while versus like $70. Ugh, I can't do it. Those little differences
No.
makes all the difference for people like us. Where $40 it's a significant chunk of change. Hell, that would barely buy you 6 dozen eggs right now. I went to the grocery store today. It was like $6 for a dozen eggs.
Yeah. You can't drink good liquor, eat eggs, and go to Vikings games. It just ain't gonna happen. You gotta cut something out.
Also, pro tip.
eggs for me.
Cheap vodka through a Brita filter. You're welcome.
Oh, I never thought of that
Yep.
before.
It'll take a bunch of the shit out and it'll taste a lot better.
Well, okay. Well, guys, how are we feeling about the Packers game this Sunday? After watching them last night completely destroy the Saints. Is anyone nervous after watching that performance?
Sal, you could have gathered a bunch of people from your tailgate to beat that Saints team. Like That Saints team just decimated with injuries. Spencer Rattler has all the arm talent to be an elite NFL quarterback. He's not, and there's reasons why, and I think we saw all of them last night. I think this Packers game is going to be interesting. I don't really know how to view it, but I think the Vikings can easily beat them.
I think it's just a game between two very good teams, between two teams that are very close. So it obviously can go either way. It's just I think the betting odds right now confirm that it's just a coin flip, and I hope that being at home makes this coin flip a little bit more favorable for us. But it really can go either way. It's probably two, I would say, top 5, top 6 teams in the NFL right now that are going at it. And I just hope that it's going to be an exciting watch. And since I hope that the Vikings are going to play for something in Week 18, they have to win to still have a shot, because I just don't see the Lions putting on a stinker against the Niners. The Niners just got eliminated, so I don't see that happening. So the Vikings have to win to still have a shot at the division. But this might be the point where the Vikings may have the advantage, because for the Packers, even if they win, they are not going to win the division. Probably not. So they are just playing for seeding. And when I talk about seeding, it's just about the 5 or 6 seed. So maybe in the end, if it comes down to the wire, the Vikings might have that little extra edge because they still have a shot at the number 1 seed. The Packers kind of do, but not really, to be honest, due to the tiebreaker situation. They would need to win both games while the Lions have to lose both games. Not gonna happen. So maybe that's a little advantage that the Vikings have, but otherwise it's just 50-50.
They would also need the Eagles to lose.
Yeah, that too.
I don't know if they have a chance for the.
I mean,
NFC
for the 1 seed, of course. But at least if the Lions lose both games, the Packers would have a shot at least the division. So there's that. But since I don't expect the Lions to lose on Monday night, it's just a wash. I don't think the Packers have a realistic shot to win this division. And even if the Packers win against the Vikings and the Lions somehow lose against the 49ers, the last game would be a coin flip too, because in that case, the Vikings would probably rest starters, because that game would be either the 5th or 6th seed. I don't think the Vikings would risk a lot of their starters in that situation. So the Lions would probably win that, because if they lose against the Niners, the 1 seed wouldn't be clinched. I just don't see the Packers going anywhere near the division, and obviously the 1 seed as well.
Yeah, and kind of looking at it, I actually don't think the Packers have any chance to win the NFC North, because right now they are 2 games behind the Lions, 2 games behind the Vikings.
Is it 2 games?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's 2 games. Yeah. Okay, then they're out.
They lost both games to the Lions. They've already lost one of the Vikings. And there's a chance that they have 5 losses and 4 of them are to the NFC North, which is honestly one of the funniest stats of all time.
Oh, let it be so.
I would love it. I would love it. Merry Christmas to me. Merry Christmas to all of you. That would be a wonderful gift. I think one of the biggest things I'm going to be looking for, we're going to talk about it on the Real Forno show later this week, how these offensive lines handle pressure and how they handle the different ways that the Vikings and Packers are going to bring pressure. So the Packers have not been able to rush well with just their front four. They've had to bring kind of unique looks and blitzes and rely on coverage on the back end, which they still haven't played. Jair Alexander. He's played like 10 snaps since the beginning of October. And he's been practicing. So there's something weird going on there. I wouldn't be shocked if he's gone next year, which good. And I think if the Vikings want to find a way to win this game, they have to be able to block. If they block well enough, like they did against the Seahawks, then Sam Darnold does what he does and mitigates pressure by sliding into open lanes in the pocket, then I think the Vikings can easily win this game. But that is also much easier said than done. We can talk about, if you do this, well, it's very hard to do that in a football game. So I'm looking forward to it. I hate that it's at 325. I hate 325 games. I hate 325 games. Because for what I do, for all the content, all the work I have to do, 325 games are the worst. Primetime games, I can at least get a little nap in early. And then, when I'm up late working, I still have a lot of energy, but it's just like, I have to wait like 7-8 hours in order to get started. And then I'm working until like 11. It's just like, this sucks. But
I'm just happy it's not prime time.
3 is bad enough for you, Jonas, let alone prime time.
Why do you like 325 games?
Well, listen, 325 is perfect for what I do. So I am sorry, Tyler, and to everyone else, but 325 is the perfect, and that is the sweet spot for me and what I do in the tailgate lot. I can sleep in a little bit, get there around like 10, 11 instead of like 6, 7. It'll be warmer. I'll have a lot more people around to like help and everything, and it just, I don't know, you can watch the early game at the tailgate, and that's always fun, and just get like really fired up to finally go in there. And I feel like it's always a little bit louder at a 325 maybe, but especially when it's a Packers game, I think the pregame is just so much more fun. Everybody's energy is on a different level, even when it's a game that's earlier in the season. But of course, this game is so important, and everyone is anticipating it so much that I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And when the Vikings win and we have an epic after party, we won't be out that late. Maybe only like midnight. Maybe if it was prime time, we'd be out until like 4, probably. So. I'm kidding. I don't stay out that late anymore, but We need to say to Evil, thank you so much for your super chat. Merry Christmas to you. We really appreciate you.
Yes, we do.
I do
Dave,
think
what
that's
were your
fair.
thoughts? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think that your perspective, I think that's fair. Tailgating sounds way better starting at around 10 or 11 than it does at 6, 7 in the morning.
Well, yeah, and I'm by myself there until at least like 9:30, so it gets really boring. But I have to be there for my parking spot because they're not assigned. So it's really boring for me in the morning because it's 325 is great.
I love that it's the national broadcast on Fox, because when they switched it, before I was going to have to stream it on YouTube Sunday Ticket, which always puts me behind.
Oh, true.
With a national broadcast, they moved the Dallas and Philly game to the noon hour and kicked out whoever was on there and put our game in the 325, which means I get it broadcast over the air, which means no lag. I absolutely love when I don't have a lag. So, sorry, Tyler. You got a lot of work to do. We all do. But for me, I prefer it because it's a national broadcast game. And if everything works out, if the Vikings win, which to Odin's ears, please do, the rest of the season should be over the air. And because week 18 will mean something, right? We don't want to go down the worst case scenario where we lose and the Kittens win and they clinch, and week 18 means nothing for either of us. Mm-hmm. But if we win, week 18 means something. And you can almost guarantee it'll probably be the Sunday nighter on NBC.
The second the Vikings win, they'll announce that game is Sunday night. Because it doesn't matter what the Lions do, as long as the Vikings win. Mm-hmm. Because remember,
the division and the number 1 seed.
The Lions play Monday night, so if the Lions win and the Vikings lose, that game's probably like a noon game on Sunday.
Right. If
Yeah.
it's meaningless, it'll be a new game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's going to be a couple crazy weeks around here with the game times. We're not going to have any stability at all. Everything's
no
going to
doubt.
be to be determined. Is it going to be a Saturday? They could even be Saturdays now. Sundays. I mean, it's going to get wild.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hi, Dustin. It's so nice to see you. I haven't ever seen you in before. And also, I didn't want to leave out what Too Evil said. I almost forgot to mention. He said Darnold Schwarzenegger is the new franchise QB. And I think that needs to be mentioned because what a line. How do we
Well,
feel about that? I want
Tyler-
him to be the new franchise QB. I've decided.
Tyler and I discussed it and argued about it last night.
Oh, well, we don't need to argue. We don't need to argue on baby Jesus's birthday. But
Yeah, it's really interesting, the whole thing, and I think there are too many people on social media being way too obtuse and have their feet in the ground that it has to be this or it has to be that. The one thing that this regime has really done is take all the possible information and then make a well-informed decision. They went into this believing that, hey, Darnold was going to be here for 1 year. He was going to try and play really well so he can make a lot of money somewhere else. But Kevin O'Connell believed he was going to play really well. He was talked about it a lot at length during the offseason and in training camp. And you saw a lot of really good progression from him. But at the same time, I even think that this is surpassing what the organization thought of him, and they thought incredibly highly of Darnold. So at what point could things change? At what point does O'Connell go to Quay's team like, this is my guy. I don't care about what our original plan was. We need to deviate because of X, Y, and Z, which is a very plausible outcome. Now, will it happen? I don't think it will. I think they're going to end up with J.J. McCarthy. I still put that at about a 95%, but it's non-zero. Has been non-zero, in my opinion, for weeks because Darnold is playing at a very high level. He's also playing at his sustainable level. What he's doing is completely sustainable. He's not doing things that are absolutely absurd or asinine. He's not doing things that are incredibly lucky. He's doing things that you can try and predict year over year. And I think that's incredibly appealing. Plus, he's 27. I think the one thing to kind of wrap this all up, one thing we had issue with Kirk Cousins wasn't that he was paid a lot of money. What he did wasn't worth being paid a lot of money. And I think my argument today was if Sam Darnold was being paid $40 million during this season, would anybody have a problem with him making $40 million? I think the answer is no. And to me, that's where some of that conversation begins. I'll end with this. Whatever Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah and Kevin O'Connell choose to do, they have earned the right for us to trust it and believe that it is the correct decision, whether it's keep Sam Darnold or roll with J.J. McCarthy, or you do what the 04 San Diego Chargers did, franchise tag Sam Darnold for one more year, and then J.J. McCarthy takes over in year 3. Whatever they choose to do, they have done everything possible to earn our support. And I think that trust is warranted, and I'll be happy with whatever they choose.
yeah, I saw a tweet today that said, people be saying things so definitively, but like, man, it depends. And it really does depend. There are so many variables that are going to change between now and then. It's going to have a lot to do with what the market demands, where JJ's health is, all of these things. So people that, you're right, they're have their heels so dug in that they have to be right. I think that some of this has to come from the Kirk Cousins argument, because that's when we started getting these polarizing takes in our community. And I don't know if people just can't let go of that. They're missing that discourse in their life. So now they're carrying it on to this. But yeah, I don't know. I hate the arguments that I'm seeing. It's crazy.
And Puddin' says, I still can't allow my mind to think of the Super Bowl for the Vikes. That's because I'm 58 years old. And Puddin', I'm 61. And the whole idea that this magical season may end up in a Lombardi, We hope, brother. We hope.
It's very possible. It is very possible. And that's wild to think about, but we have to think about it in those terms. It's a realistic, plausible outcome at this point. It just is. And that's insane considering where the season went in and how everybody didn't believe. And this has got, for the similar reasons, this has got 1998 vibes. Believe it or not, nobody believed in that 98 team. They were predicted to finish 3rd or 4th in the NFC Central. Nobody believed in them. And they had every right to not believe in them. Dennis Green almost got fired before the year. And the only reason that he didn't get fired was it came back from a 19-3 deficit at the New York Giants in the wild card game, recovered an onside kick, and got the game-winning field goal. That's the only reason why 1998 happened, because if he gets fired, they don't draft Randy Moss. That was a Dennis Green pick. Like, there are so many little things about like how 1998, nobody believed in them. You got a backup quarterback who everybody thought wasn't any good anymore. Well, Darnold never really was, but Randall Cunningham was in his late 30s. And you have these great receivers. You have an offensive line that has some really good players on it, but still some question marks. You've got a running back that is a little bit older, has had some injury issues, especially with the lower half. And you have a defense that has some really talented players, but hasn't been able to put it together. And they all put together just this phenomenal season. There's so many links to 98. Can they get it done on like 98? I don't know. But man, this has been a hell of a ride.
Also, you're gonna hate me. The other link is they have a really, really reliable kicker right now.
Well, hopefully we'll Riker got his one miss out.
We'll talk about a reliable kicker.
He was reliable up to that.
It was.
Yeah, that's a parallel I'm personally not ready to talk about just yet.
Oh, God.
But can we talk about, can I ask you guys' opinion of this? Because this is something that I had not considered. But when you take into account Kirk Cousins, the money that he's still on the books for this season, the cap hit that they were paying for, and then Sam Darnold, what they're paying for him with the $10 million, isn't it already a similar amount that Sam would be paid if he were extended? So it wouldn't make that much of a difference in the payroll, I don't think.
Oh, this is great, Sal, because I made that point to Dave last night.
Oh, you did? I saw someone in the chat. Okay.
One of the big things was like, oh, people were like, oh, we won't be able to have as good of a team next year. Really? I think we can have a much better team even if you give Darnold the franchise tag, because you'll still have $30+ million to work with. You can still extend some of your guys and save a little bit of money, like Byron Murphy, because he's got those void years where he's already you already owe him money. And if you give Darnold $42 million, you're already technically giving the starting quarterback $38.5. So it's not like you're adjusting much, because we have $71 million in dead cap space. 71. So I think long term, you're going to see ramifications, because you always are when you pay somebody that kind of money. But just for 1 year, I don't think you're going to see a less talented team fielded in 2025 than you did in 2024.
To your point, I just want to read the list of players that are still on the books for the Vikings, because I think some people are going to be a little bit surprised about that. I mean, Kirk Cousins obviously is on the books with $28.5 million. Daniel Hunter is on the books for $50 million. Marcus Davenport, almost $7 million. Louis Sean, $5.4 million. Dalvin Cook, $3.1 million. Dean Lowry is on the books for $2.4 million. Alexander Madison is still on the books for $1.25 million. And then there are some smaller numbers, Caleb Evans, Andrew Booth. Jeff Gladney still has a dead cap hit. I mean, they're like
Jeff Gladney. That's crazy.
Yeah, I asked around about Gladney. Part of the reason is, like, when you release a player and how the Vikings did, you can request signing bonus back. And when they did that, obviously Jeff Gladney was still alive, and he passed away, unfortunately, around a year later. Rest in peace to him. But when you do that, you oftentimes you will come to a settlement. And what I was told was that there was a settlement between, I believe, Jeff Gladney's estate, which I'm guessing is likely run by his parents, and him, and the Vikings, to where they settled on X amount of money. And that was $500,000. So that is why that cap hit is there. Otherwise, that would be the only reason why. Because remember, a couple years ago, Nate Stanley sued the Vikings because he believed that he was released injured, which means you're entitled to some financial compensation. So when you see players that have been off the roster for X amount of years pop up, that's likely the reason.
Tyree Jackson's probably on the books this year too.
Yep, he is, just for his signing bonus. And then I believe the rest of his signing bonus is next year. Because I don't believe a 4th round pick has any guaranteed salary.
Right.
Oh, they also have currently 14 million on injured reserve, which isn't like an outlandish number, mainly because Darisaw at 6.4 million still has a relatively small cap hit. The other one, obviously, is JJ McCarthy at almost 4 million. But yeah, that's a number we have to consider too. And also, I mean, Christian Darisaw is coming back next year. So that's an improvement alone for that offensive line. I mean, respect to Cam Robinson for the job he did so far, but having Christian Darisaw back will definitely be a big boost for the Vikings.
Absolutely.
Yeah, completely agree. All right, let's say what's up to the chat here. We had Steven who claims that he predicted both outcomes of the game with a prediction. So I think he deserves to give another one since he's just so spot on all the time. Of course, now I can't find it. So we will come back to it when I can find it. Steven, drop it again because I don't know where it is. But Steven grew up in Michigan with a family of Lions fans. So he wasn't much of a football watcher until Kirk came to Minnesota, and he played against him in high school and started liking the Vikings better. What was that like playing against Kirk in high school? I'm curious how that experience went. But let's see.
I need to know if Kirk Cousins only shopped at Kohl's or if he wore Abercrombie and Fitch and Hollister. I need to know the wardrobe.
Was it Izod? No, that's my time.
Izod would have. Izod would have been like Wyzetta people, like that U.S. Polo. But even then, like the rich people were wearing Abercrombie. It was like when I was in high school, circa, because Kirk graduated from. Kirk and I are around the same age. I think he's a year older than I am. So Abercrombie, Hollister. I need a picture of Kirk Cousins with puka shells. That's what I need. That would be hilarious.
And the spike hair, the gel.
I had puka shells until probably like 2010. And it was a different time. Let's put it that way.
Were you wallowing in 2009 NFC Championship misery with those puka shells on? I'm trying to picture that.
I'm pretty sure I did, and then I went and grabbed a bottle of Jägermeister. It was not fun.
Yeah, that was a 2009 vibe for sure. The Jägermeister.
Oh, big time. But I have to go. I am hosting Christmas, but thank you guys. Thank you everybody for joining. Everybody have a wonderful and very Merry Christmas. We are all so grateful that you choose to spend any time with us.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, Tyler. Thank you for hopping on.
Absolutely. Have a great night, everybody.
You too. Tell the pups we said. Oh, wait, I was going to say tell the pups Merry Christmas.
Listen.
Oh, I will.
Okay.
All
right, boys.
To that point, 2009 was the first football season I actually followed because it was the first time I got to watch some games. Didn't really have much of a chance because at that point there weren't many ways to broadcast it in Germany, which got way easier the last few years. And I also was 13 at that time. So, yeah, it was basically my first experience following football. And yeah, what an experience it was.
Now, you perked up when Jägermeister came up there. How's Jaeger over in Germany?
I mean, I'm probably not the person to ask because I don't drink.
Okay.
So you can learn a lot about beverages from Tyler and Dave. I'm not the person to ask here.
Yeah. That's one thing I don't need any more education on is Jägermeister. So, Dave, I'm good on that. I'm good on the Jägermeister. We can skip over that chapter of my workbook.
Now, I remember it was 1987, way back, and I was working the International Air Tattoo, and one of the biggest air shows in all of the world. It happens every other year, held at RAF Fairford. And I was working the transient ramp, and we had a bunch of Germans land in one of their C-130 wannabes. And what was fun about working it is every country brought some beverage. The French would land and pop open their Entendards, their fighters at the time. They'd pop open their bag carrying pods, and out comes wine. Well, the Germans landed, and it was out came the schnapps. Oh, and that schnapps was so good. Mm-mm-mm. Not that we were supposed to drink on duty, but hey, it happens. Happy memories.
Wow. Well, speaking of drinking, George, Merry Christmas to you. He wants to know who's drinking eggnog. And Dave, you're the one that you're the eggnog guy. So have you had any today?
Not today. No.
No.
Pardon me.
I'm surprised.
I have enough for one more batch. That will be tomorrow.
Okay. Well, that makes a lot of sense then. But I saw Too Evil said, we were talking about the offensive line, so I wanted Tyler to comment on this, but he said that Bradbury should be paying the Vikings next season, so they'll also have that money off the books.
Bradbury's still under contract next year.
I know he's making the joke that he's that bad.
Yeah, but he should be.
He's paying.
I agree with him.
So, okay, guys. Well, so everyone's feeling good about the game Sunday, huh? I'm pretty nervous personally.
It's going to be a tough one, but it is the Packers, which means the crowd is the whole atmosphere cranks up. You said it about the tailgate gets special.
Oh yeah.
Inside the building gets wild.
I know. I got to find a way to get in there because all of my best fan cam pictures in history are all against the Packers. And I just never shut up the entire game. I make it miserable for all of them that come. So I got to figure it out. Got to get in there.
Just as long as we don't hear, go back, go.
Oh, well, I mean, you always hear it a little bit. That's why you got to get them out of the momentum quick.
Right.
So they pipe down. Because there's too many of them. Don't let me go into my season ticket holder rant about you should just turn in your seat license if you sell your tickets to Packers fans. Because this is a holiday episode and we're spreading cheer here tonight. So I'll save that for Thursday.
George talked about getting some shrooms knocked, and then he can meet Santa Claus.
Okay,
hey.
George, were you?
Oh, that's Grandizer.
George.
George.
We have been talking a lot about hallucinogenics here on Skoldiers and Spice because Aaron Rodgers, I don't know who's been watching Netflix, Aaron Rodgers special with the ayahuasca. So I'm thinking maybe I need to start dabbling into those hallucinogenics with the shrooms. So let me know if you got a guy. Allegedly. I wouldn't actually do something like that. But if I did.
It is.
Have you guys watched it yet? The Aaron Rodgers special?
I have not. But
no, you guys got to watch it.
But I know shrooms. So.
well, go on.
Hey, I grew up in the late 70s, early 80s, and times were different back then. Put it that way.
Oh,
Mhm.
well, okay. All right, guys. Well, Jonas, you got anything? What else is sticking out for you coming up this week?
Yeah, I
What
don't
about the
know.
defense? Let's talk about the defense. We haven't talked about them yet.
I mean, they definitely have to tackle better than they had last Sunday. It was really, really frustrating because it felt like the Seahawks got like 2 additional yards on every other play, and it. I think the defense overall didn't play bad, but because they allowed so many extra yards at sometimes where they actually had them dead to rights at the line of scrimmage or even behind that, um, it felt like a way worse defensive performance than it actually was. And I was a bit surprised that Brian Flores was apparently okay with the way they tackled. I mean, he was probably mostly talking about the season and the fact that he said that tackling was going to be an emphasis for the Packers game was probably a reaction to the Seahawks game, which he just didn't want to call out that way. So I guess that's why he said it that way. But I think that's the key. You have to be able to tackle against the Packers. I mean, Harry is back. Probably Ivan Pace is probably going to be back, so that's gonna help. But you're gonna have to control Josh Jacobs, who's having a fantastic season at Green Bay, and if he's going to go wild, I'm probably going to win my fantasy football championships, but that's not my priority here. So I would much rather lose that and see the Vikings win the game. So let's shut him down.
Well, Dave, this was actually a great idea that Grandizer had, and I wish I would have thought of it myself. But he says, "Happy Festivus. Did we have an airing of grievances for what we want the Vikes to do better at?" And I
Yes,
wish
it
I
was a
would have
great
read
idea.
that. I wish I would have read that before I asked Jonas about the defense because that would have been perfect. But do you have anything? I got to channel my inner George here because I don't really have a lot of grievances this year. I just feel so grateful.
Interior offensive line is where I have my issues.
Okay.
We're sacrificing run blocking for pass blocking. Pass blocking isn't as great. When we get to Bradbury's pass blocking has dropped off the second half of the season, which is concerning.
Do you
Obviously,
think that has to do with Reisner, or is that just how it's going?
I think it's just how it's going. That's traditional for him for some reason,
Okay.
whether he's losing weight over the season, which all football players do. It's hard to keep up. For linemen, they build up at strength and weight all over through the off season. And then it's trying to manage the decline as the season goes on because it's such a demanding sport and demanding position. I don't know if it's that or the fact that Brandel's played not as well as he did in the first half. It's a combination of things, but they are still keeping it together. I just wish it would be better. That's all I'm asking. So we'll see. Too Evil says Christian Watson bruised his knee bad. They thought it was worse until they x-rayed it. Well, that's sort of bad news. Too Evil. I was hoping he was out. But not to wish injury on anybody, long-term injury.
Coming back to the offensive line, I think the biggest issue right now is communication. And that's where Reisner probably is a factor because individually, as a blocker, especially as a pass blocker, he's played really well since he started.
He's played the best he's had with the team, period.
Yeah. So you can't you can't fault him there, but communication is obviously a problem, and probably some schematic stuff that the Falcons figured out, because the Vikings now had their 3 worst pass blocking performances in the season in 3 straight games. So probably there was something that the Falcons did that worked, and that the Vikings didn't find an answer for right now. And because of that, the next 2 opponents tried the same thing, and it worked to some degree, at least to a degree that made the Vikings pass blocking unit substantially worse than it was all season so far. So the Vikings got to figure that out. The Vikings need to find a schematic answer for that, or maybe it's just communication, and they just have to pick up on this better. Maybe being 3 games in, they might be able to pick up what they are doing better, and this might translate. So we'll see. But apparently, yeah, the Falcons found something, and the Vikings are having trouble with that. And because of that, everybody else is trying to replicate that.
That is a good point. I personally cannot think of any grievances that I had other than the ones that I just aired about the Packers fans that are going to be in US Bank Stadium. That's a big grievance of mine, but I just feel I'm so proud of Sam Darnold and how he has played and how this offense has stepped up and supported him. I mean, did you guys, after we got off of our live show, I'm sure you guys saw KOC's post-game speech. And I was tearing up. For some reason, I'm so emotional about Sam Darnold. So I've never been like this before. I'm usually so critical of all of everything, but I'm just having so much fun this season. And, I'm so happy that I got to join you guys and become part of this family, the Vikings First and SKOL family. And I don't feel like my honorary George Costanza self.
Well, we're very grateful that you're with us, as well as Jonas overseas and part of the family. And speaking of which, Darren was supposed to join us tonight, but he failed, and we got to give more grief on that one. He is down in Alberta.
That's a grievance.
Alberta with the in-laws. And hopefully it's not due to technical issues, because he's got a show this weekend as well. So
Funny about it on Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what we're most grateful for are our fans. You guys listen to us pontificate and blow on Minnesota Vikings, whether you like our opinions or dislike our opinions, or whether we agree or disagree. Tyler and I all play adversary sometimes, and sometimes I believe it. And so it is what it is. But we love working together, and we love spending time with you all. And that's just what warms our hearts. And we love cheering on the Minnesota Vikings. So hopefully we can get that promised land deal before me and Puddentane and some of the older heads in this group pass on. So we'll see.
Let me ask you guys this before we close out, because this is something that's been on my mind a lot this past week since the number 1 seed is so achievable. Does having the first round bye scare you at all? Obviously, I know we want the home field and all of that, of course, but does the first round bye scare you? The potential?
No.
Okay.
No. Obviously, you'd like to rest starters at the end of the season. Everybody is banged up right now. Everybody has some issues that they're carrying through the season, and having an extra week of rest is definitely a positive at this point, especially with the 17-game season. So I think everybody would like to have a bye week and just rest their bodies for 1 week, focus a little bit more. So I really don't think this is a negative at this point. I mean, the NFC right now, we talked about the NFC over the last couple of years, that it's not good. It's wide open. There are no elite teams. This has changed a lot. There are 3 elite teams in one division. And you can put the Eagles into that mix as well. And the Rams are a good team. The Buccaneers mostly are a good team that just has some inexplicable games between that, but overall they are good. So the NFC playoff picture has improved a lot compared to the last few years. So even if you get a first round bye, there's a good chance you still get bounced in the round after that, and this wouldn't be like a big disaster. It's just you would lose against a very good football team, and that's the way it goes sometimes. And because of that, the bye week is an advantage, and I would really like to have that advantage. But it's obviously not a guarantee that you're going to be successful because of it.
Dave?
And you're worried about them getting rusty over that
No.
That's what
extra
I worry
week.
about.
That's not going to happen. Not with this coaching staff. I don't see it.
All right.
They've
All right,
won
you guys,
out
I
of the
found-
buys. So
Yeah, but yeah. Okay, I'm gonna choose to believe you guys, but I found one more grievance. We have Packers fan has entered our chat, and so that means it's probably time to wrap it up. But Merry Christmas to you both. I'm so happy that you guys were able to join me tonight, and everyone who joined us in the chat. We appreciate you so much spending your Christmas Eve with us. It means so much to me, and I know to the guys here and everybody in our Vikings First and SKOL family. We really appreciate you. I'm really looking forward to this new year and this playoff run and spending it with you guys. It's going to be a really special experience.
yes, it is. What do we
Yeah.
say?
What do we say? SKOL?
SKOL Vikings.
Oh, okay. SKOL Vikings. Love you guys. Talk to you later. Oh, wait. Tomorrow you and Tyler are on?
No.
At...
No.
Okay.
Tyler will be on Thursday, Friday, sometime this week. And we have you on Thursday?
Yes.
Question mark?
Okay, I'll see
Yeah.
you. Yes. See you guys Thursday night. And yeah, everybody have a great time. Great. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Okay. SKOL.
Like, subscribe, and ring the bell. And rate us on your favorite aggregator. And a big shout out goes to Sal and her guests on this Vikings First and SKOL production, partnered with the Fans First Sports Network. Thanks, everyone, and SKOL.